Alrighty, hello everyone. My name is Justaria, the demystified herbalist, and welcome to episode 15 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled Herbal Medicine on a Budget. So I implore you today to grab your pencils, notebooks, whatever you write on. I know this is a podcast. If you're driving in your car, definitely make sure you play it back because I'm giving you some gems today on how to utilize this medicine and learn about this medicine on a budget. Okay, participating in herbal medicine does not have to be expensive. Okay, trust me, I have 4 children and I've used herbal products and created herbal products, learned about herbal medicine and all of that. It can be expensive, but I decided to not make it so expensive. So I want to give you some tips to kind of help you along on your journey. So grab your pencils. Let's get into this. One, start by learning about the local flora in your region. All right. And you can learn about this local flora by investing in field guides, taking online courses, or even attending local workshops that are led by people who actually have experience foraging. Okay. And this is important for a lot of reasons. One, there's a high chance that if you go and find it in your area, it's growing in its natural habitat and it's fresh. Okay, if you're picking it in the right season, it's even more potent and you can grab those good medicinal properties. And again, it is free. A lot of times people ask me about the herb over here and I heard about this one herb over there. And so for the herbs that I may not have heard of, I go look them up and I'm like, okay, this herb is only found in India somewhere. Okay? The reality of it is that if you're in America, in the United States, there are tons of medicinal plants growing everywhere. That is the beauty and the gift of the Most High. So all you have to do is just learn what's in your region and build from there. Okay? This is the best way. And again, it is free. And there are tons of herbs out there that you can forage for that can work for a variety of issues. That's the other beauty of it as well. All right. Another way, or I guess places that you can go to look up, about the flora in your region. You can look at online resources such as websites, forums, or even apps that focus on plant identification. All right. Make sure that you invest. Going back to the field guide real quick, make sure that you invest in a reliable field guide, okay? It has to have clear illustrations, some photographs, and then detailed descriptions of the plant. And if you want to get a couple of them, that's even better. The more, the merrier, all right? Also begin focusing on easily recognizable and commonly found plants. Learn about their characteristics, the habitat they grow in, and how you can use them. I know in certain regions they have online databases or maps that actually document the flora that's growing in that particular area. So, these are beneficial resources and that you can find them online for free. We love free 99, don't we? All right. But again, as you look for those plants that are more commonly recognizable, you're able to identify them and able to use them, you'll begin to gain more knowledge and confidence, right? Because confidence is definitely key. Now, a word of caution, be aware of any local regulations or restrictions on foraging, all right? Don't be in somebody else's yard grabbing up plants and stuff like that, but also know what areas you can forage and cannot forage in, okay? We're not trying to catch no lawsuits out here, okay? In some areas, they have certain rules that could protect either native plants or extinct plants or endangered plants. So you want to be careful. Make sure that you are foraging responsibly. All right. Budget tip number 2, invest in basic equipment, okay? Prioritize the essentials. So let me give you some of the essentials that I'm talking about, and then I'll give you a brief description. So for one, you're going to need a mortar and pestle, okay? And these can be made from stone, from wood, from ceramic. And what you do with that is you just kind of put your dry herbs in there, and it helps crush them down into powder. And of course, you can use the powders for capsules, just all other kind of things, teas, those type of things. So a mortar and pestle is very key. Another thing is herb scissors or pruners. All right. Drying rack, or you can use a hanger. Okay, that's another one. That's, you can find a hanger in your closet. Or what you can do to dry your herbs is that you can use twine, bundle the herbs together, tie the end of it with twine, turn them upside down, and just let them hang in a well ventilated area. Make sure they're not in direct sunlight. Okay, now this process that I'm explaining now, it'll take a little bit longer, a couple of days for it to dry out completely, but nonetheless, you can get a whole bundle of twine for like $2 or $3. Okay, especially if you don't have the money, or even you don't want to yet invest in a couple $100 dehydrator. All right, you can also create your own drying rack out of wood, so keep that in mind as well. That could help you save some coins. Another thing that you're going to need: glass jars and containers. Okay, choose glass jars with tight sealed lids. This is important so that you can save tinctures and dried herbs, infused oils, and that kind of stuff. And even consider repurposing some of these glass jars for storage, and other things. That is a tip. And of course, you can get a big box of mason jars, at the thrift store, or you can even get them, inexpensively at Walmart. Not that I'm promoting Walmart or anything. All right, another piece of equipment you're going to need is a tea infuser or strainer. Okay, there's many different forms. You can look on Amazon as well, thrift stores as well. Some more tools is labels and markers. Of course, you want to make sure as you're making your creations and all that, you want to use waterproof labels and markers so that you can document, the type of herb or mixture that you've created, the time, the dates, and what's in it, that kind of thing. Definitely want to get some measuring spoons and scales. And you can get that stuff from the Dollar Tree, okay? Or again, thrift store, okay? Muslin bags, cheesecloth, you need those. All right, that kind of helps you strain the liquids from the plant material. Some more tools, as I call them: basic herbal books and field guides. Like I explained earlier, these are very important because someone has done the work out there to take pictures and to write down descriptions and all that kind of stuff of these plants that we find ourselves looking for. So, hey, if that information is already out there, go ahead and grab a couple, have a couple on hand so that again, what's growing around you. All right. And they can serve as like key, valuable references for people that are just getting started. All right. Another tool is a double boiler. All right. For infusions. And sometimes you can make your own double boiler out of a pot and a bowl, that kind of thing. And you can use that to kind of break down the oils, use it for infusions or extractions, that type of stuff. Okay. Now, with all of those, that will get you started. Okay. As you continue to grow and move forward throughout your journey, you'll come across other things that, depending on your goals, okay, you'll come across other things that you'll be like, oh man, I need that. Or I really don't use this too much, so I really don't need that. So, just think about how you want to use the tools, that I talked about, or what do you plan to do? And then set your tool needs from there. All right. And so when you're looking at, what type of equipment to buy and all that, just set a budget. You know what I mean? Just set a budget and make it realistic. You don't have to go and spend a exorbitant amount. Okay. You can go to yard sales, thrift stores, online marketplaces. I've seen several mortar and pestles, and I have enough, so I don't ever pick up extras, but I see them all the time, right? Sometimes people, they use them and they're kind of like, and then some people, they don't use them. They just sit for decoration until it's time to move or whatever, and then they're like, throw that out. We don't use that. So you can pick it up for a couple bucks. So don't sleep on thrift stores and garage sales, okay? Some people get a little icky about it, but get you some good alcohol and clean that stuff off. If it's glass and all that kind of stuff, clean it really, really good. Sanitize everything that you get. Pray over it. We don't need no spirits hopping around. You know what I'm saying? But, don't sleep on secondhand options. All right. That is a way that you can really save a lot of money. And for a lot of people, especially in this economy right now, money is tight. And so if money is super tight, you do not want to, you know, break the bank trying to get herbal products. All right. Now, there are also in some communities, I will say this as a side note, that do herb exchanges. So if in your area there are like local herbalists or gardening groups where they kind of exchange or sell tools at lower prices, be open to that as well. You know, sometimes you can get some really good equipment from people that are either just not doing it anymore, or they moved on to a different aspect of herbal medicine, and so they want to either swap or just sell it all together. Keep that in mind. All right. Now, buying in bulk. Purchasing herbs and ingredients in bulk can save you a lot of money. Okay. Now, I tested this when I used to buy my loose herbs. I would buy like a little small bag, and it's like, okay, well, you know, this should be good enough. But then I ran out of it. But then when I calculated that same bag of herbs, if I were to buy it in bulk rather than buying 5 little bags of herbs, I realized how much money that I would have saved if I just went on ahead and just, you know, bit the bullet and bought the bigger bag. So keep that in mind, that there are discounts available if you buy larger quantities. And in the world of herbal medicine, that is a good thing, especially when it comes to dried herbs. Okay. All right. Budget tip number 3. Use multi-use herbs in your formulations. Okay. So what I would like you to do is determine the action that you need the herbs to actually have. Okay. Does it need to be a diuretic? Does it need to be anti-inflammatory? Right. What do you need the action of this herb to be for whatever issue that you are trying to address? All right. Let's say you want the action to be anti-inflammatory. Okay. So then you want to look at a list of anti-inflammatory herbs. Okay. Let's say you have an inflammation issue, but you also need to clean the blood. Right. So in those instances, you want to look at herbs that can kind of do multiple things. That way it can cut down on the amount of herbs. Like, and I tell people all the time, when I first started, I would just grab every single herb I could think of and throw it into a formulation, right? That wasn't a good idea at all. You know, I didn't learn a thing about synergy, and I didn't take any considerations into nothing. I was just like, this said anti-inflammatory. There's like 20 herbs. I'm trying to get rid of this inflammation. We're just going to throw all 20 in there and see what happens. No. Do not do that. Okay? If you want to save some coins, try to find that one herb that has 5 or 6 different actions, right? So that way you don't have to have 500 herbs, because it can, after a while, get pricey. You know, and you want to keep things simple, especially when you're starting out. It's easy to get overwhelmed when you have like 15 to 20 herbs in one formulation. Okay. So you want to get herbs that, you know, are versatile. Okay. Look for plants with multiple therapeutic properties that can address a variety of health concerns. Okay. So for example, herbs like chamomile, lavender, and calendula have both calming and skin soothing properties. Okay. So another thing is that you want to have herbs that target multiple concerns or multiple issues. So choose herbs that address multiple health concerns. An example of that, like I said before, would be chamomile, because chamomile can both be calming and anti-inflammatory. All right. All right. Budget tip number 4. I've got 5 budget tips for you. This is number 4. Explore free or low-cost educational resources. All right. The beauty of the era that we live in, this is the information superhighway. All right. There are free educational resources everywhere, but it's going to take a little bit of work. And a lot of people don't really want to do that. They don't want to research and look into it and that kind of thing. But that's how you save money. All right. That is how you save money. So a couple places that you can look to for low-cost educational resources are online articles and blogs. Okay. YouTube channels. Check out the Demystified Herbalist channel on YouTube. Shameless plug. All right. And, you know, on YouTube, A lot of herbalists and even educators share tutorials, plant identification tips, herbal recipes, and look for these channels that provide receipts. That's important, especially when you're learning about herbal medicine. You want to be able to prove what you're saying. So look for that. All right. I also know that you can learn a lot about the human body, okay, for free on YouTube. Okay. A lot of medical schools have their lectures on YouTube. Okay. I don't know why they do that, but I'm grateful that they do, because I'm able to learn about different aspects of the human body, again, for free. Now, some people may not want to sit through a lecture, but it depends on how serious you are and how serious you want to learn, how hungry you really are to learn about herbal medicine. There's tons of information online via YouTube, okay? Another one, podcast like this one, Dear Herbalist podcast, okay? That there are a lot of podcasts out there that cover a wide range of topics, okay? Sometimes they'll have interviews on there, and they can provide many different insights and aspects of herbal medicine, so you can learn a lot there, okay? Another option is ebooks and PDFs, all right? There's tons of free or low-cost ebooks and PDFs on herbal medicine, okay? So check out that, a free resource, archive.org. I give that out a lot. There's tons of books, and these books are not just, written today. There's a lot of books on there that are like from the 1800s, and so again, if you're a true researcher, or you really want to know, or you just nosy, go to archive.org and check that out and set up an account. It's free, and all you do is you just check out books like you would at the library. And oftentimes, a lot of those books from the 1800s, you can even download the PDFs of those to your desktop. So you can create, like a desktop resource, on your computer, and just put PDFs, herbal medicine PDFs, and you can just kind of reference that as you move forward. But it is free. So keep in mind with that. Another source to where you can get information, public libraries, of course. I already spoke about online courses, which are invaluable. Some are inexpensive, okay, on the lower end, trial classes, things like that. And then you have some that are on a little bit on the higher end, okay? So it just depends on where you are and what you're willing to pay, okay? There's a lot of different websites that offer classes on herbal medicine. Be sure to check the reviews to make sure that, the classes were pretty reasonable. People were able to get information that they needed, and, people had a good experience with that particular organization or company. All right. Social media groups. This is another way that people can also gain information for little to nothing or free. Okay. Because members often on some of these groups, now some of these groups, I'm going to be honest with y'all, some of this stuff, people just on there complaining. I don't know if they don't have nothing better to do. They just waiting for somebody to ask a question so that they can shoot them down. Like, that's the dumbest thing I heard. Oh my, all of that. So be careful with that. If you're in a group, and I will continue to say this till I'm blue in the face, if you are in a social media group and people are just verbally abusive or ridiculous, you're not learning anything, but you're getting more and more discouraged, or your spirit is getting vexed, move on. Okay? Move on. Even if sometimes those groups like, man, I'm learning stuff, but the trade-off is if I'm scared to ask a question because I think people are going to shoot me down or say like, oh my gosh, that's stupid. Like, really? So in order to prevent that, okay, in order to prevent that from happening, just kind of before you join the group, just read some of the information. If you're able to read some of the questions people are asking, go down at the bottom, look at the comments and all that. And if it's like, 85-90% of just people trashing and ragging on people, just move on. It's not worth it, because there are groups out there where they're sharing their knowledge, their experiences. They're humble enough to admit their mistakes, okay? And they're kind and compassionate and patient, because they understand that they too were once, they didn't know. All right? So they treat people how they genuinely want to be treated. And just because you don't know something means you're stupid, right? So just look out for some good groups, and some groups that with the resources they're providing, they too are providing receipts. Okay, these are some websites you can check this information on. This is a government website we looked here, or this is a medical article and journal we found here. That type of stuff, because you want to be able to prove it yourself. That way you will have a higher chance of believing what you're learning. All right. Some other areas you can learn information free or low cost. Look at webinars and workshops. Sometimes there are free webinars out there and workshops, and then sometimes they have some that are pretty low cost or reasonably reasonably priced. So, take a look at that type of stuff as well. And oftentimes with workshops and webinars, they are very valuable because they tend to be focused on one particular subject. And a lot of times with the bigger herbal courses, you may have a variety of topics and subjects that they provide in that particular course, which is good if that's what you're interested in. But sometimes people, they don't want to sit through all that. They just want that one thing, or they just want that one course, or they just want that one topic or subject. And so webinars and workshops are often good for people like that, because it targets that one specific topic. They can get what they need and keep it moving. Another option could be government publications. So you want to explore government websites that are related to agriculture or health. Some of these agencies provide free publications on medicinal plants, plant identification, and even sustainable foraging practices. Okay, and again, these are free. So keep an eye on those. Community colleges, that's another one. Sometimes your local community college may offer affordable classes in botany, plant identification, herbal medicine. So, be on the lookout of those. And some of them may, they may not be the full cost of tuition at that school. It may be just community price, $50-$60, depending on the subject you're looking for. All right. And then, of course, herb walks and events, herbal conferences, herbalist blogs and newsletters, local herb societies. They may have some educational events, plant swaps, guest lectures at affordable rates. So it's no excuse. I've said all that to say it's no excuse. This information is free, depending on how deep you want to go in your research, from free to as expensive as you feel like it needs to be. But let's say you don't have money, then there's no reason not to know. Because when I was doing my research and I knew that my money was tight, I knew I couldn't afford a lot of the bigger herbal schools. I knew that I couldn't afford even a naturopath school. I'm coming off of, a 4-year degree in social work and the debt that came with that. And then, of course, later on, I have my 4 children, and money and bills and all this other stuff starts to add up. So I'm sitting here like, I can't afford, I could probably afford a couple $100, but I dang sure couldn't afford $1,000 or even a couple $1,000. And my time was limited. So, it's like, had I started my journey when I was younger without, a husband and children and all that kind of stuff, I'd have time and probably have a little more money, at that time. But now I'm older, a little seasoned, and I have responsibilities and I have children and all of that. And so all of that factors into, especially early in my herbal medicine journey, that really played a role in how much I could spend, or if I could spend anything at all. But I didn't let it stop me from being able to learn. And sometimes people have to be broke in order, that creativity kind of kicks in when you ain't got no money. Okay. So you all of a sudden become very resourceful because you have nothing to fall back on. So keep that in mind. You can learn as much, and that's why I appreciate the information age. There are some downsides to it. This isn't the podcast to talk about it, but the positives of it is that we have information at our fingertips, and it's up to us to access that information and to participate, actively in us gaining information and growing as herbalists. All right. So don't let money stop you from learning what you need to learn. You can learn it for free. But if you want a little bit more in-depth information, or you need that side-by-side support, then you got to pay a little something. But it just depends on you. Okay? All right. The final tip. All right. Last but not least, budget tip number 5. Grow your own herbs. Okay? Start with easy to grow herbs that you are going to actually use. Okay? Some people start with mint, chamomile, thyme, basil, but start with some medicinal herbs that you are actually going to use and create products for. Okay? By growing your own herbs, this gives you total control over the cultivation process. That includes your monitoring soil quality, water, sunlight. You're not spraying it or soaking your herbs in pesticides. You actually get to be in control of creating the proper conditions so that your plants can grow and you can actually use them. Okay? Another benefit of growing your own herbs is freshness and potency. Okay? How great is it to be able to go out to your yard and pluck fresh herbs? And then not only that, you know that you've picked them in their right season at a time when they are most potent. Because the goal for your herbal remedy is to work, right? And sometimes when you get your plants from across the seas or you're ordering it over the internet and that kind of stuff, that is a concern. Is this herb potent enough? Was it picked at the proper time? Is it even that actual herb? Right? Do you have chamomile or basil, or do you have grass, So you actually get to see and know and guarantee for yourself that I have a very potent herb. And this, of course, will maximize their therapeutic effects, which is what we want. We want them to work. All right. Another thing is personal connection and intuition. So growing your own herbs, it fosters a personal connection with the plant. Now, I'm not talking about something weird and morbid, but plants are living things. It's a fact. Okay? And a lot of herbal medicine is being able to sense, to feel, to know. It's some of those things that oftentimes can't be explained by science because it's a spiritual thing. Okay? So it's important to understand and develop an intuitive understanding of herbs. And so if you're growing that particular herb, it gives you an opportunity to be able to observe how they grow, how they behave, how they respond in different conditions, right? So it's a beautiful process that you get to watch. Now, one of the other benefits of growing your own herbs is the cost savings, okay? In the long run, it could be very cost effective to grow your own herbs. Dang near cheap. You buy a packet of herbs or you buy some seeds, from, local people. You know where they're getting it from. It ain't GMO seeds, and you can grow your herbs. Okay? And save a lot of money. Like I said, I'm here as the demystified herbalist to show you these things. I'm going to show you how to do these things. Okay? It is important to me that you know, because so many people need to understand what is out here, what is available, and that they can have access to it. You don't have to have $1 million. You don't have to be a part of the elite. It's not just for a chosen few. Any and everybody can access this medicine. Any and everybody can use it, give it to others. There's a responsibility that comes with it for sure. But any and everybody can use and have access and should have access, especially when you're talking about the illnesses on the rise everywhere you go. People getting sick and they don't know what's going on. All right, so let me hop off my soapbox. All right. So, herbal medicine, my main point to sum all of this up, herbal medicine does not have to be expensive. It is for everyone. And because of that, everyone should have access to it. And if you want to grow your own herbs, grow them. You don't have to have a yard. Put them in a container. But there's no excuse why we should be sick. Our health should be failing. Okay? There's no excuse. Now, sure, there are herbalists out there, even including myself. We have products. We have books. We have all this. So what you're paying for is quality product, and you're paying for our time to put it all together. And we appreciate that. I appreciate everyone that buys my product. I appreciate everyone that buys my books and have said that they are blessed from using my products and purchasing my books. I appreciate that because I worked hard for that. I did a lot of research and study behind it. So I appreciate it. But I also want you to know that you can access a lot of this stuff, right? For inexpensive, very inexpensively. Okay? But you're going to have to do some work. And that's the part that stumbles people. They're like, oh, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to wait in time for tinctures. I don't want to, read 20,000 books to get to the information that you have in your book. Because that's what I had to do. Read a lot of books, a lot of research went into my books. Okay? But you can do it. And that's what I want people to know. It's possible. You can do it. You don't have to break the bank. You shouldn't break the bank. Okay? And rather than going to an herbalist that has products and all these other kind of stuff, rather than trying to nickel and dime them or trying to make them lower their prices, why not step out, take some initiative on your own, and get out there and make your own product? If money is an issue, make your own products. Okay? So, if you like what you have heard, please stay tuned for more informative podcasts. You can hear this and future podcasts on Spotify and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, please follow me on all social media sites at The Demystified Herbalist. And if you were looking for some herbal products to help you address your health needs, then head on over to my website at thedemystifiedherbalist.square.site. All right, family. Have a great, great day. If you're listening to this in the day on the replay, if it's at night, have a good evening, sleep well. And until next time, family, I'm out.